Hey there, group. Want to make a little video for you guys. First off, I have to apologize for the cinematics. I'm here at work, but I've been sitting here at work doing a bunch of thinking because I've been seeing a topic coming across our parental alienation page that a lot of people are struggling with, and it's actually something that I've done. So I'd like to, give you guys a little reassurance, I guess you could say. Because it is, when you get to this point, it's the end game. The topic that I've been seeing coming up quite a bit is people being so emotionally drained from the rhetoric of their children, the rejection, more or less, the financial and the emotional strain that, this puts on us. It is more than a normal human being can and should ever have to bear. A little bit of a background on me. I've been alienated for about 20 years. The first 6 years were the absolute worst. That's when there was still some interaction between us. And it had gotten so bad to the point that I knew the best thing that I could do for my children at that time was to sign my rights away to them, to let them grow up in a happy home without all the fighting and everything, because their mother and I had the absolute inability to get along. I mean, it was not happening. And I myself kind of grew up that way, and I didn't want my kids growing up like I did, After I had done that, they just up and disappeared. Well, first off, I did that with the hopes that, when they did get old enough, I could make contact with them and maybe explain to them, why I did what I did. But it didn't quite work out that way. They disappeared on me for over 10 years. And when I did finally find them, once my youngest turned 18, my whole family tried to contact them. And we were instantly rejected. Told pretty much don't ever contact them again. And that was 2 years ago. And other than a year ago when I made a video for my youngest, basically telling him goodbye. I have not attempted to make any contact. I haven't even attempted to get any information on them, anything, in the last year or so. A year ago, after really struggling for a year of dealing with being told never to contact them again, I finally kind of had to sit down and have my own little come to Jesus moment. Because I had seen them, kind of finally realized what was going on with me, how it was affecting me, how it was affecting my family, how it was affecting my drinking. Because it got pretty much out of hand. The emotional toll was at a point almost unbearable. I mean, I'm a pretty tough guy. I work out in the woods for a living. I'm a logger, I stitch myself up. But I would sit in my shop for hours, crying like a baby. Because I could not wrap my brain around how it is that my kids could feel the way that they do towards me. I didn't do anything wrong. Well, in a sense, I didn't do anything. At least in their mind. It finally just, I don't know, it just literally just dawned on me one night. I was, sitting out in my shop, doing my thinking, drinking, realizing that, I wasn't doing anybody any good with how I was feeling and how I was reacting. The only person I was hurting was myself and the people around me who do love me. people that I was the most concerned about in all this couldn't care less. And I finally just kind of had to go back to that old saying of, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I showed them where the creek was. They went back over the ridge on the other side. I had to get my sense of closure. And I did. I made a video addressed mainly to my youngest. My oldest, he's autistic, and I don't think he even knows who the hell I am in any capacity. Anyway, trying to explain a little bit of why things had transpired the way they had the last 20 years. And to tell her goodbye. Because I know that, I will never ever have any kind of a tangible relationship with him. And that was a really, really hard thing to come to grips with, I mean, the thought that, I will never ever see my kids just, wow, that was a revelation. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that was eye-opening, but I knew that was the reality of it. And the more that I hoped that things would be different, quite literally, the worse I was becoming. And I did. I had to make a decision, finally. I had to look at everything in the totality and go, what is the best for everybody? Here I am, living a miserable existence because of those who would prefer me living a miserable existence. And you know what? I didn't deserve that. I'd like to think I'm a decent guy. I get up, go to work every day. I have my wife, my horses, critters that I take care of that I love very much. And there's a lot of people, who do love me. It's a little weird for me to say, but a lot of people that didn't like seeing me going through what I was going through, and not really understanding why, because it's something I really don't talk about much. But in fact, the only reason I'm really doing this is because I do truly understand what a lot of you are going through. I've been through it. It causes a pain that's literally right here, that is constant, never goes away. I've diminished mine quite a bit, thank God. But when you're under that pain all the time, it's miserable. It's hard. Now, since I have done that, I have noticed a remarkable amount of improvement in my attitude. Come on, baby. Come on, guys. I'm kind of generally a little bit of a grumpy guy to begin with. And I haven't been happy. I tend to take a lot more enjoyment in things now, because I don't have this nagging thing in the back of my skull, hurting me every day. There were times I would wake up in the morning and all I would do is think about them all day long for weeks. And I literally could not drink enough alcohol to make it stop. And that's when I realized that, I got to change. Something has to change. Because obviously the way things were going, nothing was getting better. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't love my kids. I do. I've got a large tattoo right here. In fact, the bottom part of it says, "Lost but forever loved," which is true. They are lost. They are literally pretty much the equivalent of being dead. I just didn't have a grave to find my closure. I did it through that video. And you know what? This is the big thing. I'm still alive. My days go on every day. I've got a bit more of a smile now. I've got a lot better outlook on my life. Because I was, always afraid of I don't know, I was just afraid, I guess. I was afraid of the person that I was becoming, and I didn't like it. If you feel that's what you have to do, only you can judge that. I don't know each one of your own individual situations. I mean, I can imagine they're not much different than what mine was. And I could see in a lot of people that, you're feeling that's your only recourse to have is to just let them go. And you might be right. I know I was in my situation. If you have the ability, and only you guys can tell with your own situations, that you've got a glimmer of hope or whatever at a relationship with your children, God, nurture that. Do whatever you can to save that and hold that. I at one time would have given anything just to even talk to my youngest once. I've never spoken to her. I've never even heard her voice. I have no idea what she even sounds like. That'll never happen. But if you have that, make it work. But I do know that there are some of us that are in the situation of no matter what we do, no matter what we try, no matter what we say, it'll just never happen. The more you try, the harder they push back. And I can get that. I understand that. You've got to do what's best for you and your family at hand, and the people around you who love you, because those people are seeing the anguish. They don't understand it. They don't know how to help. And I know that those people who see you going through it, it pains them. It hurts them. It did a lot of my family and my loved ones. Life goes on. That's the best thing I can say, is that life goes on. Now, unfortunately, I do have to admit that with me, I mean, it is a permanent situation. Even if, and mind you, I know there's a 99.9%, 999% chance it would never happen, but if my youngest was to contact me, I am 90% sure that I would tell her the same thing she told me. Don't ever contact me again. And I know that sounds really hard and really callous, but there's a reason for it. there's a lot of emotional wounds and scars there that, in a sense, can never be fixed. And things like that have a tendency to be very fragile. And quite literally, you know, I lost them once before. I wouldn't be able to bear losing them again. So in my case, it is best that, you know, everybody just go down their road of life. For those of you who are feeling that, you know, this is your only recourse of any bit of normalcy in your life or ever, you know, chance of feeling happy again, I'm sorry. It's gut wrenching. It just rips your soul to shreds. But I mean, if that is the step that you take, do know pain does subside after a while. You know, things do get better. And I do hope that in your guys' cases, they will come around someday and want to get to know their other parent. And if that happens, give them the chance. So, take care, guys. I just, you know, I had to put my input on this. Any of you guys that are going through this or feeling like this, you know, if you want to talk, go ahead and hit me up. I give you whatever words of encouragement or that I can, you know. Maybe, you know, help relay my situation a little bit. I'm not available during the day. I actually don't even have any cell service up here where I work, so. But, yeah, you know, so. Best of luck to you. We are all in this one together, because this is a situation that is unique to us. Take care, guys.